okay, I'm about to go on a first date and I need you to tell me if this is a red flag. I feel like it is. It's like one of my least favorite.
I've seen this content creator do a bunch of videos on this topic specifically. She's been on, I don't know, maybe 1,000 dates. I don't know how many dates she's on, but I've recognized this content creator at least, and yeah, I know she dates a lot of men. That's where I'm gonna end that one.
Things ever. I'm letting it go for now because I'm not going to cancel on him an hour before the date.
And the thing which I don't understand as well is, okay, if you date 1,000 men, right? Aren't you pretty bad at dating? If you're dating 1,000 men, that's like me trying to get my driving license 1,000 times. Can I just get it after 2 times, 3 times?
It's not looking good, girls. So my first concern, this is not the red flag, is that he did not confirm the date. So he made a reservation on Monday, then I had to text him 2 hours before the date to confirm today. But that's not the end of the world. That's actually not the red flag. The red flag is this. He responded when I said, hey, are we still on for tonight? And said, of course, babe. See you soon. Babe, I don't know you, king, buddy. And it just, when guys use pet names before you know them, I'm like, either you can't remember my name, which is concerning, or you're creating a false sense of familiarity, also concerning. But I'm letting it go, but we're gonna see if my theory is correct, which is that guys who use pet names before the first date, on the first date, in the first 2 or 3 dates, are weird. But maybe not. I'm willing to be wrong, but I don't think I am.
People can't see it yet, but knowledge is going to be worth 0, my dear.
Okay.
Our society functions and is based on scarcity of knowledge, right? You know something that I don't.
Yeah.
I pay you for that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that scarcity of knowledge is not going to be a thing anymore. What we've created with AI is infinite knowledge. This is happening at an insane speed, and it's going to break the entire economic model as we know it. Basically,
that's what I've been saying all of the time. That is exactly what I'm saying. Before you needed a lawyer. Why? Because he has educated himself. But now you can literally just ask ChatGPT. Maybe not for brain surgery, heart surgery. We still need doctors for that. But if you just look a little bit further ahead, right? In the future, programmers, they're obsolete. In the future, teachers, they're gone. In the future, lawyers, they're gone. The only thing that we actually need is maybe people which clean the drains and take out the garbage, and those kind of jobs I believe are still going to be there within 10 years. But if we're talking about I'm a graphic designer, that's dead. I'm I don't know, I make I'm an accountant, that's dead. So yes, the currency model as we know it is dead. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen. It is. The same thing with UMG and Drake and Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West. When YouTube appeared, that gave the individual, you and me, the option to just create. And if we're just creating just from literally nothing, I buy a camera, I create, why would I need SVT, or why would I need Channel 1 or BBC? And we don't need that anymore. Same thing with record labels, we don't need that anymore. So yeah, they're grasping for air right now. They're like, please hold on to us. We're gonna give you a 360 deal and we're gonna F you over as much as we can, but they're obsolete. Their time has run out. And this is the new norm. Creating, talking, making music videos from the comfort of your own home. That is how it's gonna be. People are gonna more and more gravitate to just hang out at home, selling their products, if it's pet products, or if it's pills, or if it's whatever. They're just gonna be sitting at home, and that's what they're gonna be doing with their earphones or whatever. When people are talking to me I gotta go to university, I'm like, why? She's gone. I gotta go chase her. No, she's gone. You can't chase her. She's already gone. Get a new girlfriend. You know, but people are still like, oh, I gotta go to university to get my degree and da, da, da. No, it's done. It's already gone. But then I'm gonna study movies and I want to learn how to film. Just watch a YouTube video and then we're done with it. The only thing that you can't do right now, I guess, through YouTube is heart surgery. That's very difficult. The surgery to make you taller, that's very difficult. So maybe you have to consult a doctor if you're gonna do things like that. But if we're talking about like, I don't know, everything else, everything with like information, the chat GPTs and all of those guys, they got that.
Going to change the role of human beings in society. I've been reading articles and watching podcasts about this. And one of the things that stuck out to me was an article that said something along the lines of AI won't necessarily replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. There's going to be separation in the human race. We are going to be divided into two groups. Those who reject the machines and those who merge with the machines. Yeah. I was watching a video by a man named Raoul Paul, and he likened this to hundreds of thousands of years ago when we had two species of human beings, which were the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens, and one of them died out. People are going to be embedding neurolinks into their brains. They are going to use those neurolinks to enhance themselves.
True.
Basically, we're going to have super creatures. AI is going to change everything. It's going to change how we learn and how we earn as human beings, which I think is the most important thing and the thing that is freaking everybody out the most. As human beings, we think in a linear fashion and we perceive things in a linear fashion. Okay. So a lot of concepts are very difficult for us to grasp. The problem with things like AI is that they grow exponentially. They keep doubling and tripling every year.
True.
Something a human being can't do. The faster AI becomes more powerful is the more it's used to create AI, to create more AI, to create more AI, to create more AI.
Okay, let's pause it there. The only thing that you can do in order to beat AI is switch off your computer. That's it. If you switch off your computer, it's like literally shutting it off. So that and getting a farm, building a farm, investing in a farm, whatever, like growing your own food, that is the only alternative to this.
What does it mean when our ex comes back? Does it mean that he still has feelings for us? Does it mean he still loves us, he misses us? I'll tell you what it means. It means that your standards are in the toilet and your boundaries are weak as f***. That's what it means. That's what it means. Does this mean that he finally sees our worth? No. No. He never saw your worth. He will never be able to see your worth. He never loved you.
Wow.
And he didn't care for you. Because if he did, if he cared, if he loved you enough, it wouldn't get to that point. It wouldn't get to the point of breakup. It just wouldn't. So he's back because he was unable to replace you. And it's a game for him because he wants to confirm that he still can control you. And you...
I mean, she's partially right, because if you think of it, when you're dating somebody, you're kind of like dating yourself. So if you have low self-confidence, low self-worth, you're gonna gravitate to people which are vibrating kind of like on that vibration or on that frequency, as to say. So yes, she's 100% right. I believe like the more and more you work on yourself, you eat right, you sleep right, you stop going to the club, then of course you're vibrating a little bit higher, and maybe the pool of people which are vibrating there aren't as much. So yes, it's more difficult to find somebody when you are sober, because if everybody's drinking and you're the sober one, the dating pool becomes way less, because you start to think like, okay, I want to focus on myself, I want to go to church, I want to make money, I want to sell products. Well, you can't do that if you're at the club. If you're always at the club, you can't do that. So yes, she's 100% right. You just need to vibrate on the same level. But it takes time, you know. That's like transitioning from one age to another. Yes, it takes time. So you might occasionally start drinking again, and you know, if you just stop with the alcohol, you might have a night where you're like itching and you want to go out. You know, I love partying, so you know, me sitting here and like trying to film a video, that's difficult. But you know, occasionally I'll go out and go crazy, like drink all the alcohol, and then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta focus. So you're gonna have days like that, but moving away from it is positive.
P. Diddy may not be as guilty as we had all thought. The thing that got my wheels turning on this entire thing was the fact that Candace Owen had said that gangster rap was never really black culture. It was created by the feds, and that statement alone had me start to think. And this is going to be a long video. It's not going to be one of those short, quick ones. But as I was doing my research for the Puffy and the Biggie and the Tupac West Coast East Coast rivalry, as like it's kind of what my account kind of does, I was on the FBI Gov Vault thing, and I had realized that they keep talking with all these different blanks, but most notably, they keep using the word rivalry, and they keep putting it in quotations. And the only time you're putting something in quotations is if you kind of don't believe it. It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry. This is the only time that they've done it. You see, they've done it a few different times within this entire thing. And mind you, this is about Tupac, and this is about Biggie Smalls, and also possibly Suge Knight, as well as P. Diddy. So knowing what we know now, we know that Biggie actually wanted to leave Bad Boy Records, but we never really knew why. We always assumed that it was because of something that had happened outside of the 1996 Soul Strain Awards, and Puffy ran away, so that kind of like demolished their relationship. And on the West Coast, we're also told that Tupac wanted to leave Death Row Records with Suge Knight because he felt that he was getting cheated out of money. But reading it now, it doesn't make sense. First of all, keep in mind the size of this box right here. So Blank had a reputation of owing Blank, Death Row, lots of money, allegedly peddled drugs, blah 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 blah. And if we input with the information that we now have, it'd be Suge Knight had the reputation of owing Tupac a lot of money and allegedly having them peddle drugs, blah 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 blah. And we keep going. Word on the street was that Coca-Cola would be purchased for $14,000 a kilo on the West Coast and sold on the East Coast for double at $24,000. Now the head of the West Coast was Suge Knight, and the head of the East Coast was Sean Diddy Puffy Combs. And so we keep going. At one point, Suge Knight owed Tupac around $10 million. Tupac and others began complaining about their alleged involvement in, you know, selling the drugs west and east. And so we keep reading. It is alleged that from several sources that Suge Knight owed Tupac millions of dollars from royalties, and that Tupac was soon going to be leaving Death Row and blow the whistle on Blank. But who was he going to blow the whistle on? So if we already know that he was going to leave Suge Knight, who was this person? Well, it has to be not the West Coast person, but the East Coast, P. Diddy. Now, knowing what we know now, it is alleged from several sources that Suge Knight owed Tupac millions of dollars from royalties, and that Tupac was soon going to be leaving Death Row and blow the whistle on Puffy and his drug activities. From many sources, Puffy made it look like LA Crips committed the Tupac and Biggie murders. And that is something that we already know, that we believe that it was actually Diddy that made it look like it was Blood versus Crip that ended up killing Biggie and Tupac. But was it possible that Biggie Smalls and Tupac were going to blow the whistle on the entire operation if they hadn't gotten paid and leave the label? And it was at this moment that I believe that Diddy had become a Fed. It was the Feds that ended up killing Tupac and then had Biggie killed because they were going to release the information on the entire West Coast, East Coast drug operation. And had they done that, they wouldn't have any more dirt on P. Diddy that would put him behind bars, that would keep him quiet and keep him doing what they told him to do. Because if you have the head of the West Coast and the head of the East Coast working on a drug trade operation, one of them snitches, the other one would go to jail. And guess who's locked up between the two that were pushing drugs from the West to the East Coast? And guess who's dead? to tell the whole story. All in all, my theory is that on the West Coast, you had Suge Knight. On the East Coast, you had P. Diddy. They were working together to sell drugs across the state lines. Then you had the word rivalry thrown in because it was fake. The East versus the West Coast, it was a front for what they were really doing, which is selling Coca-Cola throughout the entire country. The feds.
My personal opinion is that I think it's too far-fetched that he killed Biggie, he killed Tupac, and then he killed his ex-wife. It's just too far-fetched that this is not even like a random person. This is one of the most famous people in the world, and he's going around killing people and just this is not a movie. People would have caught on to him if he was going around poisoning people with pneumonia or killing people, killing his wife, killing his bodyguard, doing all of that. And then of course I have to also put on my conspiracy hat and just say, like, if 10 people around me all die of pneumonia and the only connection which they have to me is that they were my enemies, that's a little bit weird. But coincidences can happen. Things like that can happen. And it has happened before. So I'm like, yeah, he's a freaky guy, but did he orchestrate the murder of Tupac and Biggie? I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. Like, a lot of people, yes, they speculate that and they think that he did, but I think it's just a huge, like a big coincidence, like one of those coincidences which is like, there's this guy apparently which got hit by lightning 3 times in his life, and that is just like, what are the odds of getting hit by lightning 3 times? That's crazy, but that's a coincidence as well.
Drake is evil in human form. I used to be such a big Drake fan.
Okay.
I was so excited. In January of this past year, I got to go to one of his concerts and I was in the pit. And this was a huge turning point for me. At one point during one of his songs, he came to the edge of the stage, was looking at me directly in the eyes and pointing and like reaching out for my hand. Everybody in our general area was like jumping up and down and like grabbing my shoulder and like, ah! I was stunned. I have never felt such evil, and I was like such a big fan of Drake, but for the few seconds that I had eye contact with him, it was like all sound of the concert was completely blocked out, and my ears were ringing like how people in like war movies, their ears ring after there's like a strike.
Listen, I've always believed that Drake has been evil. I have always believed that. Ever since the first time one of my ex-girlfriends used to listen to Drake, and she loved Drake, and I hated Drake. I don't hate him now, but then I hated him. And she was like, if I were to marry somebody, it would be Drake. I was like, bruh, I hate that. I hate that guy, you know. And that's where I was when it came to Drake. So yes, I've always believed that Drake has been a very evil individual. I think he just like other people, I'm not gonna mention their names because they might, attack me, but he and other people probably worships the devil. that is my theory, and I 100% believe it. And him suing Kendrick, that is just because, I don't know if Kendrick is good. Maybe it's good versus evil, but yeah, I do believe that Drake is a very evil individual and he has done a lot of evil things, and I don't want to call anybody the P word, but if there was a person which is a P word, it would be Drake.
Nothing is more hilarious to me than when somebody thinks that they've got you hooked on their presence in your life. So finally they remove their narc mask and they test you and they disrespect you or they do you dirty. And they just sit there watching you thinking, oh, they're just going to take it, or they're addicted to me. They're not going to let me go. Bro, I was tolerating you. I noticed you have a pessimistic vibe about you and a mentality. And I noticed that you're very intrigued with how I live my life. To the point where it's borderline obsession. Probably obsession underneath it all. But you're trying to mask it. I noticed all that, and I tolerated it while maintaining my vibe.
This is how I feel of some of the Swedish friends which I have. Sorry guys, I just have to say, some of the Swedish friends which I have are just garbage. They go into your Instagram. They're looking at your story, bro. I'm doing certain things which people have never seen before, but guess what? They're just looking at it. No like, no nothing. But the thing which I've noticed is like people which don't know me, they give me the most appreciation. People which have never met me, they're like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Oh my God. Da, 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 da. But people which you know, they're looking, they can like, whoa, they can see exactly what you did. But guess what? They ain't gonna say anything. Why? Because it's jealousy. It's jealousy. And sometimes when I'm on Instagram, sometimes I'm just like, I like a lot of people's posts. I'm always like, I celebrate people. I'm like, oh, great job. Like, oh, you got this job over there. That's great, man. I'm so happy for you. But if I do something that is remarkable, silence. The silence is so, it's so loud. The silence, because you're like, why are you guys even following me? Why? For what reason? Because they make you think that you're the crazy one, where you're like, am I not that good? No. You literally show the same video to somebody which is not from here, and that person's like, you're like on Kanye's level. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm Kanye's level. But anyway, apart from Kanye and all that, they don't like, they don't comment, they don't do anything. So I just have to say, like, yeah, all of that is just envy. If you notice that people are constantly quiet, when they see that you do something remarkable, they're just quiet. They're quiet because they know that they can't do it themselves.